When you have a guy like Antonio Brown that creates space on the other side, your tight end also, you've got and you know what too? When you have a guy like Antonio Brown on your team, you've got to account for him.
You think you got it going on, and all of a sudden, bam, they just fire the whole staff. You know what I mean? So he's just changed up his offensive coordinator. He got a new offensive coordinator, came from Virginia. And Coach A.N. And then, their defense was pretty good. It was ranked 18th in the nation. So their defense is going to be all right. Got some good players on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively, they got to get it together, man. So they want to pass more. They want to open it up more. Isn't that what everybody says? They want to pass more.
Yeah, that's what we hear in Philadelphia. By the way, Barrett's going to be calling the spring game for the Syracuse Orangemen. I believe this weekend you're going to be doing that?
Yeah, tonight at 7.
Tonight. That's right, man. I'll be watching that thing too. So should be awesome to see what that football team does because they have a lot of great history in that region of the country. It was either BC for me, Notre Dame, Syracuse. That used to be back in the day when I was growing up. That used to be like one of the programs, Penn State, Pitt,
Yep.
And that kind of has fallen on its ear a little bit over the last couple of years, but we'll see what ends up happening. All right, Barrett, I'm gonna shake the tree on you here a little bit.
Oh, here we go.
Here we go. Okay. Would Howie be open to looking at Antonio Brown in any way? Would he be looking potentially at getting a guy like Antonio Brown and giving him an opportunity, at least to look at him? Here's a guy that has without a doubt. What's up?
We lost Brooksy. I'm working on getting him back.
All right, man.
All right.
How about Antonio? Listen, Antonio Brown on a minimum deal.
I've been saying that. What are they doing? That guy's a proven receiver. He's out there getting yards every time he plays the game of football. We have no one that does that in Philly. I love it, Dan.
A minimum deal.
I'm sure there are a bunch of people.
There's no gamble. There's no – okay, watch this. He blows up. Okay, it doesn't cost me anything. I need him to give Jalen Hurts an opportunity to be able to find out whether or not he's the guy. I've got to find – you've got to tell me more on this is more about Jalen. This is more about for me to find out also if Jalen Hurts is the guy. I said this yesterday, and I'll continue to say this. If you put nothing around Jalen and you put nothing around this player, then, guys, you're never going to find out whether or not Jalen Hurts is the guy for the future of this football team. You could say whatever you – Sills, this guy, absolutely not. But what above all goes like
everyone
this?
Everyone is in. Senator, how are you? J-Doc?
Absolutely not.
Can you hear me, Zane?
Okay, so we're sitting here, and again, there's no question about it here that football team has to get Jalen Hurts some talent. They have to find more talent to be able to figure out whether or not he's your guy. Do you want to continually go into this malaise here over the next 2 years again and not understanding, once again, if you have enough talent around him, if he's your guy? Barry.
Yeah, my fault, man. I mean, you know what happened, right? What time did I log in yesterday?
I think you logged in what about 20 minutes after the show started?
No, right around this time is when I logged in.
Okay.
And when I logged in, you pay for a day at a time.
Hey, shut your internet off. I love it. I love it, dude. I love it, man. All right, so I just went on some sort of diatribe about Antonio Brown getting an opportunity. Why would Howie ever? You brought T.O. in. And look at what Kareem says. T.O. 2.0.
Yep.
Why not bring in Antonio Brown on a league minimum contract? Give him an opportunity to come in here, and again, give Jalen an opportunity to at least have a top flight. And you know what you get out of it too, Barrett? You get out of it. Well, here's Jalen, and he has a chance to throw to a Hall of Fame type wide receiver. If he blows up, so what? You owe. It's going to be minimum. What do you think about looking at AB?
You know what? And I wouldn't have to worry about him messing up the locker room. He usually doesn't mess up locker rooms. He messes himself up. He blows himself up. So
did you play with him?
I never played with him, no.
Okay.
But I mean, if you bring him in, he comes in, he's definitely, one of the hardest working guys, be one of the hardest working guys on the team. He'll be the most focused. He'll be wanting to be great. And he's going to command that the ball goes to him. And he's going to give Jalen every opportunity to get the ball to him. It will make that offense run 100% more effectively with him being here. But could they handle that in the locker room? I think they could. I don't think it would be a big risk bringing him in because, everybody expects him to be what he's going to be. So since they expect that, it wouldn't be like a surprise if he acted in that way. Just get him out of it then. But at least it'll open up the offense and they'll learn what it is to play, offensive football.
And I'm wondering if you have a guy like that on the other side, doesn't that help Devontae Smith as well too? When you have a guy like Antonio Brown that creates space on the other side, your tight end also, you've got and you know what too? When you have a guy like Antonio Brown on your team, you've got to account for him. You've got a game plan for the guy. You've got a game plan. And you know what too, Barrett? I think what you're going to get if you bring him in, the first year, just like him in Tampa, I think you would get the best Antonio Brown and you would get the best behaved Antonio Brown because he knows he's running out of lifelines here. He knows that he's going to be 34 years old. You got him on a league minimum deal. You know what? Sills, what about all the – I don't care about that shit, man. I care about finding out if Jalen Hurts is my quarterback. And he maybe be a piece that could help solve the puzzle here, whether or not he's the guy.
Well, there it is, man. I mean, if he's the guy. And I see, Horned Frog saying, quit saying Jalen has nothing around him.
He doesn't.
When you look at what Jalen has around him, you have a lot of unprovenness. You have guys that, give me an 1,000-yard out of those guys. Give me a 1,000-yard receiver. There's not one sitting there. You look at the weapons that, yes, he does have to make players better, but players also have to put themselves in better positions. Goddard dropped a lot of balls last year. Watkins, he's only open if he's running 9 routes. These guys have to become better as players. Sanders has to stay healthy. And I mean, I wouldn't say that, if you look at the running back position, you would say that Gainwell still has a lot to prove. And we already know what Boston Scott is. Boston Scott is a good guy to come in and spell you for a little bit. But is he a dynamic player? No. Is he a player that can give you some offensive output against the Giants? Yes. He's a giant killer. He definitely does that. But you compare their rosters to the rosters of those guys, the other teams that are in the playoffs. Compare that roster to them. Look at what Brady had. Look at what A-Rod was working with. Look at what all these guys are in the playoffs. They just have superior talent at the positions that that are game breaking as far as receivers, and what they bring to the table. That's all we're saying. You compare.
Well, I'm going to throw this at you, Barrett. Watch this. I think the people in Philly are looking at that offensive huddle, and I love the fact that you're propping your team up. But I'm going to give you a reality here. Devontae Smith in the NFL with all the wide receivers. Let's just go 32 teams. Okay? You got 2 receivers. Let's just go to 64 receivers. I would say this, Devontae Smith, top 30, 35, somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
35. Quez Watkins, top 50? 55?
No, I don't even think that high.
Right, 60. Okay.
Yeah.
How about this? Zach Pascal. Well, I saw what they ranked him with PFF. So I'm going to say down towards the bottom, 60s. You got a guy in the top 30 and 2 in the top 60. You're tight end. Little better. There's one, so I'm going to go 32. He's probably 15.
Yep.
Okay? Your running back. Top 20, 15, somewhere
Can't
there.
stay healthy.
Right? So
Can't
where
stay
do
healthy.
you see this tremendous skill set, offensive attack that you have? And how about this? The quarterback. Then you add the quarterbacks. If I had Tom Brady with this group, okay, then all those guys are going to be elevated because Brady is going to make every one of those guys. How many times have you watched Tom Brady's box score where you see this? 9 guys have caught a pass in a game. Or, you see like Brady spreading the ball out. And there's like 100 guys with stats. 2 catches, 15 yards, 5 catches, 48 yards. You never heard the guys, too. They're probably inactive the next week. But Brady is able to scan the field because he sees the field. You see, this is what's happened to Jalen here, folks. And it's a progression thing in his career. When you start as a football player, you're like this. As you start to get more experienced, you start to do this. You start to see this. And I'll tell you something, how you school a quarterback. Bill Walsh told me this a lot of times when they were developing Joe Montana. You know why Montana rolled right all the time? Because he was able to manage half the field. Joe couldn't see the entire field right away when he first came out of Notre Dame. That's why that great pass in the back of the end zone where he hits Dwight Clark, he's rolling right. He wanted Joe to manage half the field so Montana would roll right. And then as his career progressed, Montana saw the field. And he was undefensible after he started seeing the field. Jalen is still with blinders on here. This is how he sees the game. This is why the reps are important for him. As he gets more open, it'll help him. But if he doesn't have guys who know how to get open, he'll never get those blinders off. He'll never get them off. You need to have skill set guys in there to help. Barrett, you know this. You and me, when we first start, shit, man, we got everything right in front of us. But as the years go on, you know this, right? Dude, if I see you sitting back, I know you're probably trying to get around on somebody, or you're trying to run a trap. If you go this way, I told you before, if you go this way, I got to look back inside again. That's just seeing the game. He doesn't see the game yet.
It comes with, just like you said, as I first started out, it was basic. All right, I'm starting left tackle. At the most, it's Barrett block the end. Barrett block the end. But as the game progressed and I started understanding what I'm looking at, then it's starting to open up a little bit. So when I started seeing, all right, I got a defensive end and he moves in a foot closer to me, and I see the backer walk out a foot, that means they're going to run an in slant and a back or around. So then I take a progression from that. And I said, all right, there, I'm looking at the safety. The safety comes down in the box. Safety came down in the box, and the Mike linebacker slid on my side. Now I know they're running the MEB blitz. So it just, the pattern of what you see, these patterns, it starts to open up how you look at the game. Then it broadens your horizons on, and it makes you play faster. It gives you the opportunity now to see the game unfolding before. The pre-snap reads that I was starting to see now allowed me to cheat things a little bit, make things a little bit easier for myself rather than just being a reactionary player. I became a more aggressive player because I knew what they were trying to do to me before it happened. And the same thing that Jalen's going to have to do. Jalen's going to have to take that same game plan that he had last year and build upon that game plan. He's got to look at things. All right, then, when I was doing this, I saw that they were doing this to me. How can I avoid this from happening to me and forcing me to do this? All right, well, let me look at this read here. I see what they're trying to do to me. Now I know where the ball's going to go immediately and get the ball to that. So get them out of that. So let me see what else can they do to me. It just is, just a progression in his career. And I know Jalen's going to work on those things. I know he's going to get better at those things. Jalen Hurts is a good quarterback.
He is.
Jalen Hurts will be in the league a long time playing quarterback.
Absolutely.
And
if Tyrod Taylor could stay in the league, Tyrod Taylor could stay in the league and Teddy Bridgewater, he's going to too. And I'll tell you something, Nasty. Nobody's talking shit on the Eagles here except for this. They got to get better. What's wrong? What's aggravating and what's actually too? This dude here, what above all, I'll tell you what, he may get garbage time catches, but in my opinion, situationally, I saw him drop passes too, and I agree with Barrett on it. Okay? He's not a top flight tight end yet. He is not.
He has all the tools to be that. He has all the tools to be that.
He does have the tools, but he is nowhere in that category of a Kelsey or any of those. I don't give a shit how many statistics you show people. I'm going to say this to you. Nobody is we're pointing out the obvious here that if you're looking at that Eagle offensive huddle, it's got to get better talent-wise. Quez Watkins and Zach Pascal get you shit. Okay? They're fine players. Do I want them on my team? Yes. Do I want them starting? No. Okay? I want quality. How can the Titans have Julio Jones and A.J. Brown, Barrett, and they don't throw the ball?
Right.
They don't throw the ball because they have Derrick Henry. Okay? But fundamentally, they lost Derrick Henry. Think about what that system did. How about this? Yes, Eddie, he is a top 15 tight end. I said that. Okay? I said that. He's top 15. I'll put this in here. When you look at how they won ball games, let's not forget the Titans. In a mentality like they have in Philadelphia, Barrett, they want to run the ball in Tennessee. They were the number 1 seed, and they lost Derrick Henry for 9 weeks. How's that possible? Remember something. AFC, the Titans, Barrett, were the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Not the Bengals, not the Chiefs. Without their star player, but it was a mentality. Run the ball. Play tough defense. Mike Vrabel, be tough at the point of attack. They never deviated, even when Henry went out. They didn't start throwing the ball, and when they knew they had, even with A.J. Brown and even with Julio Jones, they didn't come out of their skin because they lost Henry. They stayed in their skin on who they are. They don't have that affordability in Philadelphia because they don't have those kind of skill set guys at the perimeter.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. I mean, we keep saying that they don't throw the ball. That's what they did the first 7 games?
7 games.
The first 7 games, that's all they did was throw the ball. And it was no production in that throwing. And yes, a lot to do with the quarterback, and his ability to get the ball out on time. Yeah, I do admit that. But how many mistakes did they have as far as, the reason why they didn't have any offensive output and touchdowns? Do we forget how they had like 5 or 6 touchdowns called back from stupid mistakes like receivers running out of bounds, then coming back in? They did that 3 times. After somebody does it once, it shouldn't happen again. But they did it 2 more times after that, where a receiver got pushed out of bounds, comes back in, he's the first person to touch it. It's illegal touching, call the touchdown back. Or, for instance, they're running this read option, they're throwing the ball, and the offensive line is down the field. I know 4 different times they had touchdowns called back for that. So it's not like, they didn't have the ability to make big plays. They had the ability to make big plays, but they were so young and stupid and doing stupid things because they had young players out on the outside. I mean, and how many times do we just blatantly just drop touchdowns? Blatantly just drop them.
I've never seen here. If the Eagles throw the ball 38 times, they'll go 4 and they'll win 4 games. If
I'll
they
say,
throw the
I'll say
ball
40 times. They can throw it 35 times because if they can have an even ratio 35 to 35, I'll be good with that. But
Okay.
if they throw it over 40 times, that's when you get into that water. You got to tread water then, man. You know, it's
that
tough.
football team can't throw the ball. They're one-dimensional.
Yep.
Okay? No. Okay, let me ask you, Bear, if you had to put a grade on the offense when you're talking about the most prolific offenses in the NFL today, what grade would you give the Eagle offense right now? Like just looking across the league.
If I was to give the offensive grade, I would put them right at about a C+.
C+.
A C+, B-, yeah.
Which
Round out
means
there.
barely able to make it to the playoffs.
And the reason why I say that, because if you're comparing them to offensive output, it's all about scoring points. And that's what wins. And you take the teams like Kansas City, you take teams like Bills, Bengals. You even look at A-Rod and those guys. You know, if you can't score points the way you score points, you know, you just can't compete. And that's what happened with the Packers. The Packers scored a lot of points early, and then in the playoffs, I mean, that last game against the 49ers, they just couldn't score. You know, it was a scoring offense. They just couldn't score. So when I look at the Eagles are a team that's ground and pound, just wear you out. And at the end of the game, if they're close, they're going to win it because they can go down and they can take control and they can keep the clock on their side and time possession and grind it on out. But how many times has that happened in the NFL?
Yeah, but you know what happens with that Eagle team if they have to come from behind and win a ball game?
Right.
The red zone offense starts happening. And if they get behind – here, you know how you beat the Eagles? Get a 10-point lead on them. It's over.
In the beginning.
You grab a 14-point lead on Philly, you beat that team. They do not have capability of coming back because they can't throw themselves out of trouble. They don't have that kind of offense yet. Watch this. Can Kirk Cousins throw that Vikings team out of trouble? Yeah. Jefferson and Cousins, who's thrown for 4,500 yards. I'm giving you stats and facts when I talk. I'm not just talking shit here. By the way, would people think, look at it, let's compare it to the Dolphins because Tua and Jalen will always be compared. I don't know. I look at the Dolphin offense right now. I look at that and I think that's a B+.
Yeah.
That's a B+ offense. Okay.
Even with that quarterback, they're a B+.
That's right. That's the only thing and reason why to give it an A is because of the quarterback. And the quarterback has actually won ball games. I mean, you know, the quarterback has more wins than Justin Herbert has. He's got more wins. He does not have a losing record as a starter in the NFL, does Tua Tagovailoa.
Right.
He just can't stay healthy. And it doesn't look sexy because he doesn't throw for a shitload of yards. But that was Brian Flores' design. This new coach here, okay, I mean, this Mike McDaniel guy. And by the way, I got a list of 10 guys I want to just to show you how now we're now in the land of Howie Roseman. I'm going to show you why Howie Roseman is maybe setting up the franchise like every other NFL team is setting it up here. I'm going to show you this here in a second, Barrett. But when I look at the Eagle offense, man, you put a guy like Antonio Brown, it changes the entire dynamic of your approach on how you do it. And by the way, I saw somebody say something. Well, we really don't know what the team will look like, you know, and the final roster will look like. So what are you going to do? Add a guy off the draft and just assume again? Barrett was just talking about that. Quez can be good, maybe. Sanders has to stay healthy. We believe Devontae could be this. This is all pie in the sky conversation. You get a guy in the draft, that doesn't make your offense better. You don't know that until you step on a field.
You know, very few.
Am I sounding like a hater?
Well, I mean, you're telling the truth. Sometimes the truth sounds like that, bro. How many guys? I mean, I'm gonna tell you the truth. The last 2 years is not how it's supposed to be. Those two LSU wide receivers cannot and will not be what happens every single year. You're not going to get a Jamar Chase every year. You know what I'm saying? You know, you're not going to have that prolific of a guy come in and play like that. I mean, before this guy came in playing like that, what was it before? Who was it? Odell Beckham. Even DK Metcalf couldn't put up the numbers that those two guys came out and had. You know what I'm saying? So that's an anomaly, bro. You know what I'm saying? That's not what you regularly see in the draft. Guys can come in and make that instant of an impact going in. So you know what I mean? Who do I think there's somebody in this draft that can do it? When I look at these receivers, I see guys that can do it. They have to learn it. Like, what's his name? Drake.
Yeah, Drake London.
Drake London. I think he can come in and be okay. He'll be like a DK Metcalf. But the only guy that I see come in and make an instant impact like Jamar Chase is probably Williams from Alabama. That's why I think. You know what I'm saying? Even with him being hurt, I think he's that dynamic of a player. He can come in and give you an instant impact because he's gonna play the first game. You can believe that. He's almost healthy enough. He's gonna play the first game.
Tua Tagovailoa is 13-8 as a starter in the NFL. Early part of his career. So this guy's won more ball games than Justin Herbert has.
Right.
It's not that he can't win. It's can he stay healthy? You know, I want to show you something here, Barrett, about, you know, I was talking with my friend Jason Cole yesterday. And you know what was funny? I kept asking him questions about these guys. And I've never heard really probably 90% of. Do you know, Barrett, that there were 10 new head football coaches that have been hired now in the NFL this year? 10 out of 32 teams. 10. And they all have that's so money. Don't you think that's a lot in turnover?
Yep. That's way usually it's around about 5. But you say 10?
10. There's 10 new head coaches. I'm going to name, watch this. And I think that there's a blueprint that's got Howie Roseman's name all over this. And I'm going to show you why. Did you even know who Nick Sirianni was when?
Nope.
Vaguely, right? Position coach with Frank, maybe, right? That kind of stuff. You kind of maybe.
I didn't even know that. I didn't know who he was. Like you can't. I don't know who Minnesota's offensive coordinator is or defensive coordinator. I don't know any of those guys unless they get brought up in casual conversation. So that's why I didn't know who Nick Sirianni was. I didn't know he was with the Chiefs. So I had to Google it. Had to go in and see where he's been, what he's done. You know what I'm saying? For me to say that I knew who he was in the slightest would be me lying. I don't know who this kid was. I didn't know who Gannon was.
Now watch this, Barrett. Dolphins, Mike McDaniel. Someone asked me, what do I make of him? I don't know.
Right.
Right. You know, watch this. I don't know. I guess he came from a great coaching tree. I don't know. I don't know who he is. But this is a guy, again, that probably deals with the front office. It's not a big personality. Watch this. There's not big personalities on all of these coaching hires. The Bears, Mike Eberflus. You ever heard of him?
Eberflus, I did hear from Eberflus before, yes.
Okay. I don't know anything about him.
Yeah, I just knew, because he was his name has been called out a lot as far as with coaching and head coaching opportunities, So I did know who he was just because, his name's been brought up a lot. And then he was with A-Rod. McDaniel's his name from Miami.
Yes.
We still don't know what he is. Now I'm saying that he can come in and be innovative as far as getting guys to rock because that's what he did with Deebo Samuel. But did he call plays? And there lies the problem with a lot of these coaches that I see. A lot of these guys don't call the plays while they're offensive coordinators. Like Shanahan, he called the plays there. You know what I'm saying?
Andy Reid calls the plays. Right. I don't care what they say about the coaches on the sidelines there. Andy Reid calls the plays in Kansas City.
Well, it was the same thing with with the Colts. I mean, I don't know if Nick Sirianni called. Nick Sirianni didn't call any play. Even though
Frank Reich called those plays. And by the way, it's okay to Barrett. It's okay to hire like that because Andy Reid didn't call plays in Green Bay when Mike Holmgren was there, and he got the Eagle job because he helped develop Brett Favre when he was up there on that Mike Holmgren coaching tree. So again, it's not so important that you have to be a guy that's entrenched in the play calling. If you're around guys like Andy Reid, Andy Reid, Doug Peterson, same thing, was around him. You know what I'm saying? So you don't really have to be the coordinator, but when you're around a guy like that, it helps. Nathaniel Hackett, I know his dad, but Nathaniel Hackett is the head coach of the Broncos. Okay.
Right.
And is he so he got the job because his last name is Hackett? Paul Hackett's his dad. We know that name.
Yep.
I'm like this. Okay, Nathaniel, great. Brian Daboll did a great job at Alabama, did a great job in Buffalo. I don't know if he could be a head coach in New York. I don't know. Right?
Yep.
Vikings, Kevin O'Connell. Okay, sure. Okay, I don't know any, but this all has these are all the new trends now.
Yep.
For coaches without big personalities. Listen, Lovie Smith getting the job with the Texans. I think Lovie's a great hire because that place needs some stability and leadership.
And that's what he brings. That's exactly what he brings.
And he brings that, right? Stability. Doug Peterson brings stability. I think Doug's the best hire in the offseason. Do you?
I think it is, man. And it's a huge hiring too. You know, I mean, respect factor that's there. Respect. So, you know, at the end of the day, if you have that, and it has a lot to do with, you know, how these players are going to react to them when they come in. You know, the first time you meet them, that first impression means a lot. I mean, and it was kind of messed up, especially the last 2.5 years with this, you know, COVID thing, because he couldn't meet a lot of these players, couldn't meet their coaches. So, you know, that was tough too, man. But at the end of the day, you know, you look at what's going on now. It used to be a good old boy system where all these coaches were just, you know, circled through. You know, he go through his tenure there and he go to another place, you know, and they just hired him just because of his name. Well, it's the new wave thing is to hire guys that are young, and you know, I mean, I guess it's the trend right now. You know, guys that haven't been head coaches is starting to be the trend that the NFL is going into now.
I've got a great topic for you. I kind of brought it up a little bit on the afternoon show yesterday. Who wins more games in the next 5 years, Nick Sirianni or Doug Peterson? Hang on. Hang in there. I want to hear everybody's thoughts on this too. Okay, who you think wins the most games over the next 5 years? One guy's got Trevor Lawrence. One guy's got Jalen Hurts. He's Barrett Brooks. I'm Dan Sileo. You're on the middle.